caregivers, therapists, and for newly diagnosed. We are regularly trying to keep these updated and relevant. So if you have thoughts or think there is important information missing, please reach out and let us know. We also encourage, and last year, our Kansas and Missouri group of parents and families were able to meet and have a family meetup in the Kansas City area. The communications team really encourages that you reach out in your area, whether it's your city or state or region. And we do have a means of helping to support these regional or state local meetups. For example, the Kansas City group, we bought pizza for everybody, which was great. And it really was helpful and just really nice to meet other families that that understand FOXP1 and see that we're not quite alone. So we would like to encourage, if there are other states or regions or cities that would like to organize a family meetup, please reach out. And I think some of this also overlaps with our community committee, so we will work together on that. And communications team will also continue to put out monthly newsletters. You do have to be registered with the foundation to receive that. And we will continue scheduling monthly Zoom calls. And we are hoping, well, we will be putting out an interest survey to get an idea of topics that families would like to explore now, such as an education topic, maybe behavioral topics. Toileting is always a hot issue. So watch in the next, I think it'll probably be the next 2 weeks, for a survey where you can indicate your interests and what you would like us to focus on. And that being said, I'm going to jump down to volunteers. So as Carl said, we are all volunteers, and we absolutely would like to have more volunteers. So we'd really encourage you to consider joining one of our teams and helping out. Social media, we have 2 new volunteers. I'm just going to give a big shout out to Claire Paver and Tonka Fisher, who have just recently joined the team. So I'm looking forward to their efforts. I think Tonka has us now on Snapchat, and we are hoping to get a TikTok going. So if that's something that interests someone, please reach out. We can give you very specific goals or topics to cover, or we're also really open to creativity and new ideas. Carl, I think I'm ready for the next slide.
Hi, everyone. I'm Gail Clark, and I'm a mom like the rest of us. We're all parents of FOXP1 or family members, and I'd like to welcome you all. My responsibility, I've been with the board since the beginning. My responsibility is developing community within our international globe. I really feel it's responsible, like really powerful for the value of community development. My son is 39, and so for many years, I didn't have a community, so I really see the value of connecting with other FOXP1 families. The first thing I'd like to we've done is the census. Everybody always wants to know how many families there are in the globe with FOXP1 syndrome. Today, we know of 652 families in 50 countries. This number is based on the number of people that have registered with FOXP, the foundation. So we know that there are many more people. Our Facebook group, as great as it is and as expanding as it is, there are families in our Facebook group that haven't joined the foundation. So we invite everyone to please join the foundation on the webpage and register so that we know where all the FOXP1 children are. One of our programs we have is the ambassador program. We have 24 ambassadors in 20 different countries, and these are all parent volunteers that are building the community in their country or their region their state, their city, with families, and developing connection and organizing events and develop really helping to understand the research documents very well. There's a language challenge, so translating these information on the website, and just organizing and having connection with other families. Like Cheryl was talking about, we're always looking for volunteers. So if you would like to join and be a volunteer for your region or your country, we would really appreciate having more ambassadors join the program. Particularly, I'd like to also shout out to Caroline and Hella, which are our new ambassadors from the Nordic country and from Poland. It's great to have new families join us and wanting to connect with their fellow people that speak the same language or live in the same area. If you have any questions, email us at info@foxp1. Next slide, please, Carl. Next slide. Oh, there
Are
it
you
is.
seeing in advance, Gail?
Oh, no, I missed a slide there.
Okay.
There, that's it. So the global community, how do we connect? Because we are so scattered around the globe. The biggest one that Cheryl was mentioning is our monthly Zoom chats. We, with parents and family members, are meeting online. It is at this third Saturday of every month. The time that we've chosen is based on 3 o'clock in the afternoon for New York, which is evening for Europe and early morning for Australia. It is a time that we can chat and share ideas in a safe space. If you have a topic that you'd like to chat about, or if there's a specific group that you'd like to talk about, teenagers, siblings, adult FOXP1, then put forward your ideas, because we are looking for ideas. Like Cheryl said, we want your contribution and we want to build this community to suit your needs. We also have a sibling and grandparent group that Susan leads, and that is a group of that are meeting offline. The sibling group is are the siblings of FOXP1 children that have special issues and concerns that they want to share and talk about. And it's a safe space that they are sharing and talking about. And they're teenagers or young adults, and they are sharing with guidance. And and then grandparents, that is a great resource that we're trying to plug into too. Grandparents might have time, they might have ideas. We are looking for grandparents to help volunteer. Not all, we know that parents are incredibly busy with raising their families and working, and with a special needs child, we all know how busy that is. So we're also pulling on the strings of the aunts and uncles and grandparents and friends to also volunteer and help our foundation grow, because we are growing and we've got lots of ideas and lots of projects. So help from many would make this foundation and this group, our support, even better. One of our other things we do for connecting the community is our monthly newsletter, which you get free when you join the foundation. We have the Facebook group, WhatsApp group. Many countries, Germany, Holland, France, Spain, Brazil, have their own group, their own Facebook group or their own WhatsApp group. So there's a lot of ways to communicate. It's not all on the main Facebook group that's in English. You can find people in your own language. The other global community event we're having is we do host family conferences. We've had 3 conferences so far. 2 of them have been in New York, and our third one is this June the 19th to the 21st in the Netherlands. So I am now going to hand it. Can we have the next slide, please? And
Sure.
Esther will be presenting the information about the conference, so you can hear more about the conference with Esther. So how can you contribute to the community is by contributing to research. And one of the ways you can do that is by joining the foundation. By signing up and being counted in the census, it will illustrate to researchers the number we have in our community. The larger our community is, the greater chance of attracting researchers to study FOXP1. So join the foundation, get you a free newsletter, and it also helps contribute to science in a very easy way. The other most way to contribute to science is signing up and registering with Rare X data collection. Now, this is a bit more work. You have to register online, then upload your genetic report or the letter you have that tells about your child's genetic profile. And then over time, every year, answer survey questions. And it is this accumulation of knowledge and data from our community that the researchers will be able to understand FOXP1 syndrome and build a natural history study or look into the different mutations we have. We are a small community. We are a rare genetic group. So we have to contribute to research for them to study FOXP1 syndrome. And that is and the third way is a new project we have, which we're just launching today, and it is called Citizen Health Program. And I'm going to introduce Dr. Mara Cohen, who is a researcher on neurodevelopment disorders at Duke University, and she will present the Citizen Health Program to you. She is leading that. So I want to now hand over to Esther, who will then hand over to Mara. So thank you.
Hi all, my name is Esther. I'm also a mom of a FOXP1 child, and after visiting the two conferences in the United States, the last one being 2 years ago, I think, we said, well, I think it's about time that we have a conference worldwide in Europe. So Annemiek, which is another mom, and I decided together with the ambassador from Germany and from Switzerland that we were going to organize a conference here in the Netherlands. It's a location, it's on the beach. You can see it in the picture. No, it's really close by the beach. It's a hotel and there are tiny houses, which is a base camp. And we have the complete top floor of the hotel, and we have a large space in the base camp for the children. It's 35 kilometers from the airport from Amsterdam, and also really easy to how do you say that? Easy to get there by either by renting a car or doing public transport or taking a taxi. So yeah, I think we can go to the next slide. Oh, I think we missed one or not.
I'm seeing on my side a summary of the agenda.
Yeah. Well, this is more or less the program. We have a research conference on Thursday, June the 19th, where we have researchers from all over the world presenting the research they're doing at the moment for FOXP1. I think we now have about 20 people who signed up. So we're getting together the program at this moment. Parents are also welcome, of course, to join and listen in. You have to be aware that it's, of course, in English and that it is quite scientific, but you're more than welcome to join. Then on Thursday, the 19th, also the family gathering starts at the end of the day by the arrival and meet and greet in the hotel. And we have the whole top floor there to have dinner together. And also the researchers who visited today will be joining in for dinner as well. So it's a nice meet and greet and mix and mingle of the researchers and all the families. Then the day after, on Friday, June 20, we have a family gathering. And in the morning, we have, you can drop off your kids or your teens or your almost adults at the Rafter, which is a really nice big venue where we are going to organize all kinds of different activities, nice games. There's a nice playground for the little kids. We are going to have some beach volleyball at the beach. I think now the sign up is about 150 people, which is 100 adults, 50 kids, of which 34 are foxes. And we have about 25 caretakers. So we have a lot of people waiting for all the kids to come and spend the day with them. For all the adults, we have the conference in the hotel, where we have in the morning different speakers on research. So just as the day before, but then in layman language, in a lot easier language, so we can all understand it as well. Then we have lunch together with the caretakers and the kids in the hotel. And in the afternoon, we have arranged some breakout sessions or discussion tables on different topics, the different symptoms, so potty training, behavior, medical issues, medicine. And then we also are trying, and we have a lot already, is to have a specialist who will be guiding these tables. Then we have dinner in the hotel. Again, we can have drinks and some nice bites at the base camp where we have the venue for the kids. And we can stay there as long as we want to. And then on Saturday morning, we want to close up by a walk on the beach and some nice coffee at a nice. Still have to come up with that place, but that would be the end of the conference. So it's a nice program. We've just been through the whole list this afternoon, and there are really people from all over the world, from Europe, Germany, France, Spain, Australia, the United States, Canada. So it's really going to be a really beautiful event, and we're really looking forward to it.
Next slide.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, these are just some images and some pictures of the venue, and it's a 1-minute walk to the beach, and it's summer, so we're hoping for nice, beautiful weather, and then I think we all will have a blast. And oh yeah, there's also some information. Everybody has to arrange their own accommodation, but we have a special rate in the hotel. So the information of how to book it is on the website of the foundation. You can also stay in the tiny houses of the base camp, and there are 2 camping sites really close by. So these are the 4 accommodations which are really in 1 to 2 minutes walking distance of the venue. And of course, there are more hotels in the area you will be able to book. Next slide. Yeah, on the left side, you see the Raptor, where we have, of course, this was a setup for a meeting with tables, but it's a really nice big venue where the kids will love and have a beautiful day together, we think. So next slide, yeah.
Okay, Mara Cohen from Duke University, you are up.
Thank you. And I apologize, I animated my slides, so I'm gonna nod when you can click ahead. I apologize for that. So hi everyone. My name is Mara, and I am a postdoctoral researcher at Duke, as people have mentioned, where I study neurodevelopmental disorders and conditions. I attended the FOXP1 conference at Duke last summer, and so I had the opportunity to meet with some of you guys and learn about your experiences and interact with you and some of your wonderful foxes. I've been really moved by the community that you guys have created, and I recently got involved in the foundation to help support your missions in any way that I can. So just before I begin, I want to say thank you guys for being so welcoming and for allowing me to be a part of this amazing group. So today I'm here to speak with you about a new partnership that we're launching between FOXP1 Foundation and Citizen Health to discuss ways that the healthcare journey of our members can advance research and treatment options for FOXP1 syndrome. Next slide. And so to start off, the question is, what is Citizen Health? This is a platform that allows for the centralization of your medical data in a secure and online profile. Citizen has worked with over 80 patient advocacy groups to give families and patients affected by rare disorders the power to drive their own care and research through their health data. Next slide, 2 clicks. And so currently medical records are really fragmented across multiple providers at various institutions, which can make it often difficult for your foxes to see a new doctor, for example, making it hard for you guys to advocate for your family. And so one of the key goals of Citizen is to compile these records to then give a longitudinal understanding of your loved one's care journey. Next slide. This is animated in. So one. Citizen has an easy 5-minute sign-up process in which you can decide to join our community directly on Citizen as well. There are no in-person visits required. They collect all of your medical data for you, so you don't have to upload anything yourself. And the records are stored in one place in an online profile. And then from there, you get to choose what to do with this centralized data. So for example, you can decide to share this information with doctors in the future. And by signing a completely optional consent form, you can choose to de-identify your data and share that with researchers. Next slide. Okay, the question is, what are the health and privacy concerns here? And so Citizen uses an encrypted and HIPAA compliant system that's trusted worldwide. It has extremely strict requirements for both their team and the research groups that are involved. And all data that would be shared, if you consent to do so, is completely stripped of any personal information. Next slide. And so there are many benefits to signing up for both you personally and then the FOXP1 community as a whole. So sharing your family's health journey allows for common patient experiences to be identified. So things like symptomology that might not yet be reported, things that have worked in the past for other patients, things that haven't, how FOXP1 syndrome progresses over time, and other key patterns that are needed to design clinical trials and conduct research. Additionally, Citizen is a registry platform, so that allows us to continue to grow our network, and they share information about studies and findings back with our community. Importantly, the de-identified data collected can be used to generate a free of charge natural history study on FOXP1, which would otherwise cost hundreds of thousands of dollars and take several years to complete. And having this natural history study is essential for working with pharmaceutical companies and attracting industry partners for drug discovery efforts. Next slide. Okay, so all of this works because Citizen has established relationships with 4,000 different institutions throughout the United States. And yes, for the time being, it is unfortunately just the United States, but I don't want to discourage our incredible international contingents and community. They are launching an international portion of Citizen. You can currently sign up, but they'll be onboarding this year that will include focus on genetic reports and patient reports. And so with these established relationships and through HIPAA regulations, these institutions are required to send your information back to HIPAA, which will then be uploaded onto your online profile within 60 days. This can include things like MRIs, EEGs, doctor notes, and then if you choose to sign up, your personal information will be removed. Your data will be codified, meaning that the notes will be translated into basically a common structure so you can compare across individuals, and then it can be shared with the scientific world. Next. Okay, and so it's with this goal in mind to power research and find cures that we've decided to partner with Citizen. And I know that was a ton of information, so I was going to play this quick video if you want to see if that will work on our end. That really summarizes this well.
Are you or a loved one living with a rare or complex medical condition? Meet Citizen Health, your key to unlocking better care and faster cures. Your vital health information is stuck, buried, and scattered across different hospitals and clinics, leaving you, your care team, and researchers without critical information from your health records to enable precise care for you and create a better path to finding new treatments. It's time to change that. Citizen Health is your free online service that brings all your health records together in one secure place, enabling you to take control of your care. Enroll in minutes, share your care history, and let Citizen handle the rest. When you join Citizen Health, you're in control. Easily access and share your records across all your providers in emergencies to help get the right care when it matters most, all in the palm of your hand. Help your care team understand your journey, avoid unnecessary tests, and make better decisions about your care. But that's not all. With your permission, Citizen processes your records into valuable insights and research data, stripping away your identifying and personal information to protect your privacy. And if you choose, you can share this critical information through Citizen's platform with researchers and drug developers to better understand your disease. And here's the key. As Citizen Health's community expands and more information is shared, our collective impact can accelerate cures. And as we uncover new insights and potential treatments, we keep you informed. Citizen Health is revolutionizing the patient experience by giving you and all patient communities the tools needed to unlock better care and faster cures. Join our growing community built by patients, families, and healthcare experts. Together, we can put patients back at the heart of healthcare. We are all citizens working together for better health. And it all starts with you.
That's all. Thank you. Okay, so with that, it's just on the next slide if it'll advance.
Are you or a loved
Whoops. There we are.
Yep. So with that, I just want to share our goal. We really are trying to get 50 signups in the next 50 days. And so to sign up, you can scan this QR code that Gail showed earlier, or visit this web address. And I also want to give a quick plug. I think Samit might be speaking about it later, or we'll send out materials soon about an upcoming event on April 27th that talks about moving towards clinical trial readiness. And there will be a live sign-up demonstration by Citizen Health representatives. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. My email's at the bottom here, and I will do my best to get you guys the answers that you need. Thank you so much for your time and attention.
Thank you. All right, Shamit.
Thanks very much. My name is Shomit Dashgupta. I'm a professor at Duke University. I just want to begin by thanking everyone who's spoken so far, and welcome Dr. Cowan. I met Mara at the research conference last year, and I'm so excited that she's joining our team and leading the Citizen Health program. So the goals of our research program are pretty specific. It's to accelerate the development of effective targeted treatments for individuals with FOXP1 syndrome. And we have lots of activities that we take part in order to further that development. So one of them is hosting research conferences. The basic structure that we've settled on is to alternate an even number of years to have a standalone research conference, probably for 2 days. We had one in Duke last summer, and it was very effective. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. And on odd number years, we have a research portion attached to our family conference, kind of reflecting the dual goals of our foundation of supporting community and research. And so we're very excited about the scientific program that is going along with the family program that Esther and Annemiek have put together in the Netherlands this summer. We're looking forward to that. A major component of what we do in the research program is the direct funding of research projects to further the development of treatments into FOXP1 syndrome, and I'll talk about that in a moment. We conduct outreach to companies in the FDA. We have connections with a number of companies already and have had discussions with them. We have not had formal discussions with the FDA. We have had informal discussions with leadership there, but we are looking forward to trying to have a formal meeting about FOXP1 at the FDA, and we'd love to get volunteers for that. So if you're interested, please reach out. Of course, we need to work together with the community pillar, and it's been great working with Gail and Cheryl and Mara now on getting individuals in our community, all of you, to sign up for these data collection programs. And I'll speak in great detail about RareX in a moment. And we just heard about the new program with Citizen, and I'll talk about the contrast between the two and why we have the two going on. And Gail mentioned a census that she runs to collect the number of FOXP1 patients we have around the world. And by signing up for the foundation or for your local your own country's foundation in Europe, there are many individual foundations. You get added to our census. So please do that so our numbers can increase. Next slide, please. Yes, I see a question in the chat from Esther about the difference between Citizen Health and RareX, and I'll mention that. I'll talk about that in a moment. I just want to say briefly that everything we do in the research pillar of our foundation is guided by expert leadership from our scientific advisory board. We have world-class experts on neurodevelopmental disease and in many cases on FOXP1 in particular, guiding our programs. And they range from basic science research, such as Professor Amaral, and Professor Fisher, to translational research all the way through drug development. We've recently added 3 members from pharmaceutical companies to our board to give us guidance as we move forward towards the development of treatments for FOXP1 syndrome. I'll just mention them: Dr. Rachel Groth from Neuron Pharmaceuticals, Dr. Cheryl Fife-Maricic from Ultragenics, and Jennifer Klein from Odelia Therapeutics. Next slide, please. So next, I'm going to spend a few minutes talking about RareX. We just heard about Citizen, and this is different. This is RareX, which is our patient data collection site, which we've had for a couple of years now. And I'll just say, first of all, if you want to sign up for RareX, the way you do it is go to foxp1.org, and right on our top banner, I have a little screenshot of the top banner. It'll just say register with RareX. You can click there to register. And I just want to begin by thanking everyone who signed up and participated in surveys about your loved ones with FOXP1 syndrome. Since I think it's a common question that's already been asked, let me just say really clearly about the difference between the goals of the RareX platform and the Citizen platform. RareX is patient collected data. That is, when you log on to RareX, you upload your genetics report, and then you fill out surveys about your experience as a parent or a caregiver for an individual with FOXP1 syndrome. And so that's collected as the patient voice. Citizen, in contrast, is the clinician voice. So you don't actually have to do very much with Citizen. There's very little work on the patient side. The sign up takes 5 minutes. It takes less than half the time as the entire presentation on Citizen that Mara just gave. It takes a few minutes to sign up. And once you sign up, there's nothing left for you to do. It's done. Your patient records from your doctor goes to Citizen, and then they de-identify it. They take all your name and identifying data out, and they look at the clinician's reports on your FOXP1 loved one. They take the data from that. They put together a data profile about FOXP1 syndrome. So the difference is that Citizen is focusing on clinician data, and RareX is focusing on the patient voice. So that's why we have these two, and both are very important for researchers, for pharmaceutical companies, and for the FDA. All 3 are very interested in both of these voices, and that's why we're developing both platforms, because we're going to need it if we want to ever develop drugs for FOXP1 syndrome. Okay, so I hope that's clear.
Can I interject very, very briefly? Mara mentioned that right now, Citizen is primarily focused on US participants. It may change in the future, or it will, but not yet. Whereas RareX is already internationalized, and there's things in various parts of it are translated, and it's available to everyone around the world.
Right, and I'll add to that in both cases, they're trying to increase their international profile. So RareX is still working on more and more translations, because the surveys are difficult to fill out if it's a different language than you speak. So they're rolling out more and more languages this summer on RareX, and Citizen is also hoping to expand internationally in the future. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is some data on RareX. So we have 240. This is a few weeks old, and we might have more at this point, but we have around 240 patients signed up on RareX. About half, 118, come from the United States, and you can see we get about 3 to 4 every month signing up. We'd like to increase that if possible. And you can see kind of this global view of where patients have signed up. Next slide, please. And here's the kind of data that we can get from RareX. So this is just one of dozens of charts that RareX is looking at. This is the burden of illness survey. So when you sign up for RX, there's a bunch of surveys you can fill out. Probably the most important is this burden of illness survey, which collects the data of what symptoms do patients or patients' families feel are the most important. And it's broken down by age group. So this I put here is the 0 to 9 range age group, and they have 9 to 13, I think 13 to 18 and 18 and up. And you can see it varies. So at this age, self-care is viewed as very important, bathing, dressing, toileting, whereas people are already seeing that the ability to move independently, while it's an issue for about half our community views as no challenge at all. And this is very different than other neurodevelopmental disorders, such as FOXG1 syndrome, where it's more of a movement disorder. And so this is really, really important, vital data for scientists and for companies to understand what they should be focusing on, what kind of treatments are really valuable as things that might help our patients with these upper symptoms. Okay, and I'll just mention that the RareX team is working in conjunction with us, the FOXP1 Foundation, and with expert researchers around the world on FOXP1 to collect this data that all of you have so diligently entered in your surveys and turn it into a publication. So this will be something that all the scientific community can see and understand, and also pharmaceutical companies can look at to understand about the important symptoms in FOXP1 syndrome. Next slide, please. So we've said this already, but I'll reiterate it. RareX is the voice of the patient. So this is critical data for researchers and for the FDA, regulators, and pharmaceutical companies. And the data that we use here will be eventually inform clinical trial design. That is, when we look at measurements that we'll study and to see if we're getting improvement with treatments, we'll use the most important symptoms that parents want to see improve to guide those the design of those clinical trials. And for this, I just want to mention it's really important and essential to upload your genetics report. And one reason for that is in the future, we might want to try to correlate particular mutations with particular symptoms and try to understand how outcomes are related to the genotype. And parents always are asking that on the Facebook group, but we don't have enough data to understand that yet. So we can't do that unless people upload the genetics report. So of the 240 patients that we have on RareX, I think it's true that fewer than half have actually uploaded their genetics report. So we really, even if you already signed up on RareX, we'd love it if you went back and uploaded your genetics report if you've not done that already. That provides really valuable data. Next slide, please. Let me say more about other activities other than the RareX program. Of the research pillar. So as I mentioned last summer, we had a research conference at Duke. It was a wonderful meeting with over 30 researchers. And we also had 4 family presentations, which many of the researchers told us was very powerful and impactful and motivated them, like Dr. Cohen is nodding her head, to get inspired to work with our community and work on our syndrome. So we funded 4 research projects, which I'll mention in a moment. And we released a request for proposals to try to not only spur more research, but actually get more researchers who are experts in neurodevelopmental disease, but not necessarily studying FOXP1, to get kind of motivated by this funding that we're putting out there to bring their top-notch, excellent research onto the field of FOXP1 so that we can advance our cause. We've also began discussions with various companies, and the most fruitful right now is with Mozi Therapeutics about a certain treatment called ASO upregulation treatment, which is in its early stages of design that we're discussing with them. Next slide, please. So here are the 4 research projects that we funded in 2024, totaling $274,000. We funded a project by Joe Buxbaum, which is basically a drug screening, setting up an apparatus to perform drug screening eventually, which is the development of FOXP1 organoids. Organoids are basically models of the brain, miniature cellular models of the brain, little networks of cells connected together that model the brain, and we can try to see how FOXP1 organoids differ from typical organoids and try to screen them with drugs and see what can kind of recover that phenotype. So that's the CVERS project. The color coding of the bullet points here is that the red projects are the ones for which we've had calls already. So Dr. Konopka and Dr. Gibson are running a mouse experiment to show that gene therapy, AAV gene therapy, could be effective. And they're running a mouse experiment to demonstrate that. And we had a call about that. Dr. Gudrun Rappold and Dr. Froelich in Germany are doing a testing of particular medicine. It's an inhibitor of an enzyme, which is called PDE10A, which is a downstream effect of having FOXP1 syndrome. And they've shown the efficacy of this medicine on mice already. And the next step is to test it on FOXP1 organoids taken from organoids made out of cells taken from FOXP1 patients. And if they can show that it kind of recovers the phenotype there, then that's a really good indication, together with the mouse experiments, that this is something that could help our children. And if this experiment goes well, it'll probably take about a year. We could then, at that point, start getting towards clinical trials with this drug. So that's our goal, and probably the quickest treatment from this program that might come about is this study. So we had a call about that. And if you, either of those calls, if you missed them, you can reach out to our foundation. We can send you the recordings of those. Another project that we funded, and we're going to be having a meeting on soon, as Dr. Cohen mentioned, is from Paige Cipher at CEVR, which is the development of a CGI scale for FOXP1 syndrome. This is a particular FDA-validated scale that can be used to measure improvements over time for a drug, if it's, for a condition like FOXP1. If you're given a drug or a treatment and you want to see the improvement, this is a validated scale that the FDA accepts. But you have to develop it for your particular condition. And so that's what we're funding, is so that we can get the scale that we can use in a future trial. Next slide, please. In the RFP, that stands for Request for Proposals, that we released in 2024, we've very recently selected, and this was a huge process. It took hundreds of hours of volunteer work from a scientific advisory board and other external reviewers. We had a bunch of proposals that were submitted, and these three kind of were selected as the most, pushing forward the cause for treatments for FOXP1. The first two are more of a basic science nature, so I'm not going to go into details about them. One of them, coming out of France from Dr. Hiro, is to develop a certain mouse where the gene can be corrected after birth. And if that shows improvement in that mouse, once you correct the gene, then that's an indication that FOXP1 can be treated. And it's a very important study to demonstrate to the scientific community that this treatment can be improved or treated. Dr. Novich has a very unique and cutting edge model of neurodevelopmental disorders coming from what he calls assembloids, which are networks of organoids working together. So it's not just one organoid, but kind of how different parts of the brain talk to each other. And so he wants to understand how FOXP1 affects that network, and then possibly use treatments to see if it can be repaired. But the project that we're really excited about, and is most really relevant for parents and patients, is this clinical study of Dr. Wilson and Catherine Lord at UCLA, which is a small natural history study for FOXP1 syndrome. So this is collecting data that would be used to move towards clinical trial readiness. So we want to understand individuals with FOXP1, characterize their phenotype in all ways, where it comes from intellectual to movement, and then see how that changes over time. So this would be, you'd have one appointment with her and then have a follow-up appointment with her. And it can be done online, so you don't have to go there. And she wants to see how the changes over time. When you document that change, that's exactly the kind of thing that, again, pharmaceutical companies and the FDA want to see. So this is another project that's really thinking into the future about how are we going to get drugs, approved for this condition. Next slide, please. Actually, I just say about the numbers, if you go back for one slide. So last year we spent $274,000. This year, just on these projects alone, we're going to be spending almost $300,000 spread out over 2 years. We don't actually have this money to spend. Okay, so we need to raise funds. So please, if you like what I'm talking about and you love the idea that treatments can be developed over the next couple of years for FOXP1 syndrome, please help us in raising funds for the research fund so that we can actually fund these proposals. All right, next slide, please. More goals for 2025. I mentioned earlier an ASO upregulation treatment. This is a treatment to work at the RNA level. It's an RNA treatment that increases the amount of FOXP protein produced naturally in the body by our kids that have FOXP1 haploinsufficiency, which basically means deficiency. They're not producing enough of the FOXP1 protein, and this is a treatment to try at the RNA level to try to upregulate that and get the body to produce more FOXP1 protein, which should really get the problem at the source. It's not like the PDE10A inhibitor that I was talking about earlier, which inhibits a downstream enzyme. This is actually getting at FOXP1 itself. So that's very exciting if it works. It's very complicated science, and just to get the research done about whether it will work, we're estimating we need $150,000 based on our discussions with them. So again, we need to raise funds to put these projects into action. So because I'm running out of time, I'm not going to go through all the details of everything else on this slide, but there are other projects that we want to fund that are really essential to showing that we can treat FOXP1 syndrome. We want to continue with the treatments that we're already investigating, the PDE10A inhibitor, the gene therapy, and we want to expand clinical trial readiness, as I've mentioned, through the Citizen program and the 2 research projects that we're funding. Next slide, which I think is the last one. So please stay in touch with the foundation to hear more about these research projects and how you can be involved. We advertise everything in at least 4 ways: our monthly newsletter, on our website, foxp1.org, and our 2 Facebook pages, the official IFF Facebook page and the Friends and Family page. And I just want to announce, and we'll talk about this on all 4 of these formats, but we are having a call on April 27th from 2 to 3:30 Eastern Time. Please put this in your calendar. It's a Zoom call called Toward Clinical Trial Readiness, where we talk about all the activities we're taking um, to get us towards FDA trials. And this is, for any of the treatments that I've talked about, we're going to need this information. So Dr. Cowan and Mikkel Bunch from Citizen will do a live Citizen sign up and answer your questions. We have 30 minutes allocated to answer all your questions about Citizen. Dr. Paige Seiper will talk about her project, and Dr. Wilson and Laura will talk about their projects, all developing clinical data that we can use to go to the FDA and other regulatory agencies around the world to get these drugs approved throughout the world. And I'll say there is a patient recruitment aspect to those last 2 projects. So we really want as many people to come to the trials and eventually volunteer to be part of these research projects. Thank you.
Thanks, Shamit. Okay, I'm going to skip over this slide largely in recognition of the time here. I just want to say briefly to echo something Shamit said. We have lots of very ambitious forward-looking plans, including funding research, for which we have a portion of the funds established, but we will be continuing to raise funds through the year, this year and next year, to fully fund those projects. Just to give you a snapshot of where we are, we do have money in the bank right now. We are a successful and sustainable group. But because of the ambitions we have set up a large budget that anticipates about a $300,000 spend this year and about a $300,000 raise to achieve balance. So we are very ambitious, and we look forward to working with the community to fund those activities and keep us marching, or I should say, speedily moving towards clinical trial readiness and potential therapeutic development. And for that, and then with that, I'm going to hand it back to Cheryl to speak a little bit more about some of the activities this year, and then we can move quickly into Q&A. It's on you, Cheryl.
Next slide.
Oh, I hid the slide, Cheryl. I'm sorry. So let's just briefly, the key highlights for this year coming up: planned fundraising activities that we talked about, the Run Walk for Awareness. There are other fundraisers that are being planned. Stay on the lookout for those to see how you can join in with local efforts to feed into the overall global effort for the fundraising. And of course,
we will have a video campaign of how to plan a fundraising event, and it will highlight the Targan family, who hosted a haunted hockey tournament out in California last year that was very successful. So we have done a series of interviews with the Targans of how they organized this event, and it was really quite successful. So hopefully this will be inspiration for other families, to take a hobby or a passion, something, a way to host an event that really can make a huge difference in funding these research projects.
and then the other thing I'll say is that the major event from the community side this year, in addition to the fundraisers and the fun events associated with fundraising that Cheryl just highlighted, is of course the meeting in the Netherlands in June. That's from the 19th to the 21st of June. Registration is open now. Of course, go to the website to find the link for that, or you can look within the slide which we'll share out with everyone. Registration is open until April 10th. So if you have not decided whether you are going to make it or not, please act on that quickly, and please feel welcome to join. The more people that show up for these things, the more amazing the meetings are. This will be our third global community meeting. Okay, so we're just about at time. I do want to, open this up to the community to ask any questions. There's some points here in the chat. Great. So one of the questions here is, we have spoken about efforts towards developing therapeutics, like drugs or gene therapies. And this person is asking, what about developing non-pharmaceutical interventions, therapies like speech therapy or whatnot? And the answer is, we are working with some wonderful researchers. And one person I can think of off the top of my head is Ruth Braden in Australia, who is studying ways to help our children better benefit from speech therapy. And that's the science of language is very complex, and there are best approaches for different kinds of language difficulties. And part of her work is to make sure we fully understand what it is that's most challenging our kids, so that the speech therapy can be tuned to be most effective. That's something that I think is very important. It's one of the most common, obviously prevalent aspects of the syndrome, is difficulty with communication. Okay.
Yeah, I guess I can say that in terms of funding research into particular treatments or interventions, we have not funded any research in that direction yet. Um, it, um, so we do work informally. We do like connect researchers to our community if they want to recruit patients for this project, but we haven't yet funded any project in that direction yet. But it's a good idea. And of course, it all comes down to funding. You know, if we had more funds, we could fund more projects.
Sure. And one of the ways, so as a foundation and a clearinghouse for information, is to help connect researchers with potential participants. So with the example of Dr. Braden in Australia, we've had a very good partnership helping her connect with families to participate in that speech therapy oriented research. So even if it's not directly funded by us, our global footprint is very valuable for researchers. And that gets back to one of the very important aspects of the RareX data collection, is to help attract researchers with the globally broad data collection. Any other questions? Feel free to say them out loud or to add them into the chat. Someone did comment that they are participating in the Braden study, and they're glad to hear that it's open. We are very focused on whatever helps our kids succeed in life. It's not all about a drug. That would be wonderful, but for some people, what is more important is strategies on toileting, or strategies on communicating, or whatnot. And sometimes it may be a mixture of both therapy and drugs. Here's another question. Can you recommend something to read regarding genetics? Okay, so there is some information on the website which could be viewed as sort of a gateway to lots of more detailed information. So on the website, there are subsections that talk about this syndrome and also genetic syndromes in general. And there's explanations in there of what kinds of mutations are known about FOXP1 and what kinds of changes are present in the genome. I'm not exactly sure if that answers your question, Carol. Feel free to come off mute to redirect if I'm not addressing your question well.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's it. I mean, I'm a retired physician, so I follow a lot of this, but none of it was present at the time I trained. So I need some updates.
Yeah, there's a ton of research going on into FOXP1 and the neurobiology of the gene and other biological aspects of its function. in addition to basic research and applied research, such as what Shamit has summarized that we're supporting directly. So there's quite a lot of literature out there. But you're right, it's a fairly recently discovered or identified syndrome going back about 10 to 15 years max. So as a community of scientists are still learning quite a lot.
I think the Gene Reviews article is probably the best place to start.
Yep.
Gene reviews?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's linked under the resources section of our website.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. Other questions? Okay, so I'll put in one more plug for the in-person meeting because in my experience, those are fantastic opportunities during the downtime between sessions to have informal chats, share experiences about your life as a FOXP1 parent, and also to learn from researchers. So this scientific day, the day before the meeting, is an excellent opportunity to meet with researchers and share your thoughts with them. They value very much the opportunity to meet families and individuals with FOXP1 syndrome. Most of them were working with mice and cells, and so actually being able to meet humans is a big deal for the scientists.
At the same time, maybe I'll add a plug for our April 27th meeting. Please put that on your calendar because we really need to have as many patients involved in that meeting as possible. Thank you.
There is a section on the website that specifically summarizes upcoming events, and I believe we'll have will there be, Shamit, a spot there for registration?
Yeah, yes, absolutely. Yeah, we just wanted to announce it first today, and then we'll go through the process of setting up the Zoom link and
Okay.
all.
So once again, I think we're ready to conclude the meeting. Thank you all very much for attending, for sticking beyond the planned hour. The
Carly,
in-person, yes.
one last thing to say, and this is just a very sincere invitation to ask you to please consider joining one of our committees. Either one our communications or our community, or if you think you have something to or would like to offer something to the research group. We are all volunteers and we really would appreciate more ideas. If you have a little creative interest, please do reach out. We would love to have you.
And one last time, someone asked in the chat, where is the meeting being held coming up in June? Just to clarify, it's outside Amsterdam on the beach in the Netherlands around summer solstice. It's going to be a beautiful time of year. If you're not based in Europe, hopefully you can make it over there. I'll be there and several other folks on the call will be there. Okay, and then last thing I'll comment on is just that we will be posting these slides on the website and sharing a link to that in an email out to you all. Where can someone without any medical base? Okay, yes. So one last question. Someone's asking, where can we get some basic information about genetics if you're not a scientist? Please check out the website. There are various sections that have lots of background information both about the syndrome and about basic facts about biology as it applies to FOXP1 syndrome. Like, then there's a great summary of genetics and what is a gene mutation that is aimed at non-scientists. So I recommend you check that. Okay. Again, thank you all very much. For those that are further east of us in the US, thank you for staying up late for this meeting. And for those of you who got up early, far over in Australia and such, thank you. We are a global organization. We seek to be globally inclusive. And I think this was a very successful meeting with over 35 participants from the community. Thank you very much. And we will talk soon. Okay.
Bye-bye.
Take care all.